Hello and welcome to On the Hook Crochet, where we talk about wearable crochet style. I hope you're doing great today. Thank you for joining me. I am here to answer the 10 crochet hooks questions. I was tagged for this video by Rell of the Dabbling Hook, and I'll put her contact information and her YouTube link down in the description box so you can check her out. Thank you, Rell, for tagging me for this particular 10 question survey that's going around among the crochet YouTubers, and it's all about crochet hooks. This is the crochet hook that I start my show with every single show, and this is the PQ 15 millimeter. Let me get my hand behind that. It's a 15 millimeter, very large hook. See how large that is? This is one of my favorite hooks, and you can tell it's well worn. It's a little bit dark because I've held it so much. I've used it for so many projects. But there are lots of other crochet hooks and lots of other sizes. So let me answer the questions and we'll see if we can get to all that when I get to the survey. All right, number one, it says, what is your favorite brand of hook? My favorite brand of hook is a Clover. I went into this in depth in my crochet hook review, and at the end of this video, I will put a link to that in the corner, one of these top corners, and you can click on that. That is my most watched video of all time, the crochet hook review. And I know everybody's interested in that because crochet hooks are an investment. They can be an investment, especially if you buy one of the luxury types. So I just want you to know that there are lots and lots of crochet hooks, lots of brands, lots of sizes. So if you're buying a crochet hook, unless you need it for an emergency, which I have done before, I have to have an H hook. So I would just go to the store and buy one, but I would buy the cheapest one, and then I wouldn't enjoy crocheting with it, but I would force myself to, because for that particular project I needed that particular hook. But now I have a collection. I've been crocheting for many, many years, and so I have a collection. About 2 years ago, I gave away probably 100 crochet hooks to a church group, ladies group, who were participating in a crochet and knit group. They met every week and they crocheted and knit together, and it was such a sweet group of ladies. There were probably 25 or 30 ladies in this huge room in a big church downtown, and I heard about them and called and asked if they would like to have some of my crafts, and they said yes. And I took 100 crochet hooks down there. There were Tunisian hooks, all sizes of crochet hooks, boys, baits, all those. And I had many multiples of the same size. So I took all of my doubles, and I also took a lot of yarn, and I unloaded my craft room onto these ladies, and they loved it. They needed the yarn, and it was so nice to see. They were very organized with their yarn storage, and I helped them put it all up in the little cubby holes where it went, and it was really nice for somebody to take that yarn and use it. And you know, I still do this on my giveaways. Every time I have a video, pretty much, I have a giveaway, and I like to give away yarn to people who will actually use it. So that said, I gave away a lot of my crochet hooks, but I did keep quite a few as well, and I have bought some since then because there were some new brands out and I wanted to try them. So my favorite brand is, of course, Clover. I've already tried all the different brands that I could think of, and this was the crochet hook that gave me the best performance. Now, my performance isn't like yours probably. I speed crochet. I am always in a hurry because I'm always trying to get a pattern out the door or creating a new sweater or whatever it is, and mostly what I create are things to wear. So they're usually larger than like dishcloths, pot holders, or something like that are small, and or little pieces of afghans that you crochet together. But I'm always trying to make something kind of large, and so I have to crochet fast. This is the hook that has allowed me to crochet the fastest. Not this particular hook, but all the Clover hooks that I have. If you haven't ever tried one, it is worth the investment, and they're not that expensive. These are probably $8, I would guess, you know, $6 or $8. When have you gone out to lunch and spent more than $8 on a hamburger or whatever it is you eat? I look at things that way. Would I rather have a nice lunch or a new crochet hook? And usually the answer is a new crochet hook. So that's kind of how I gauge it. $6 or $8 is a lot of money, but it's not too much when you're talking about the health of your hands and the speed of your crochet, because the clover hooks, I think, are the most ergonomic that are on the market, that are the slickest, because they allow you to crochet the fastest. And the barrel of the crochet hook is covered with, I think it's Teflon. The metal crochet hook from Clover are also very, very smooth. The metal is extremely smooth, and it just absolutely glides through any kind of yarn, and sometimes even a little too fast, but you can control that. But these are on the line of the Bates hooks. The tip of the hook is not flat, and you might find that when you're first starting to crochet, you might try a Susan Bates, and these are a different kind of hook. They're flat. See how flat they are? Let me see, let me get a hand behind this. There it is. See how flat that is? Right there across the front of the, and you know, it is easier to pull your yarn back through a loop with a flat hook because it doesn't catch as easily. If you're using a sharper hook, or what I consider the boy hook, the boys are made with a sharp edge right there. And let me turn it this way so you can see it. It's a sharp edge, and so it takes a little more skill to use one of these. But as you go along, it won't take long before you can move up to a really nice hook. And most nice hooks I have found are on this style. These are a little bit sharper on the end of the hook, and I think these Susan Bates are really better for beginners, but some people still like them, and I think that's fine. In fact, I used one of these till I was probably 35 or 40 years old, and then because my mom had given me a set, and I used those. I didn't know there was another kind. But once I grew up and I kind of started doing things on my own, I realized that there were a lot of other great hooks out there. So I tried the different brands, and mostly what I have come down to are the Clover hooks. Now, I know that's more than one answer to these questions. My favorite brand is Clover. What's your favorite size? My favorite size is a J hook, and y'all know that if you've been watching me for any length of time. This is my favorite hook right here. It's a J hook. It's 6.0 millimeter, and I can do pretty much anything with this. In fact, yesterday I started a sweater out of some Audine Wool's interlock, and this is a size 3 yarn. This is called Interlock, and it's Audine Wool's by Knit Crate. This is a beautiful yarn. It's made from cotton linen and a little bit of nylon thrown in there. So I was going over to my stash, and I thought, you know what, I could try to make a sweater from this, and I'm going to use my J hook. And so what I've come up with is starting to look really pretty. Look at this. This is a J hook. Now, it doesn't make the stitches really close together like that. They're not going to be like that, but they're going to be probably close enough together in order to make a nice summer top without having to wear a tank top under it. That's sort of what I'm trying to do now, is make tops that are strictly for summer. Now, I know this 10 crochet hook question video has devolved into what I'm making right now, but this is what the yarn looks like. It's very small, but I'm also using a J hook. See how small that is? Pretty small. It's not as small as fingering. It's a size 3, but I am using a J hook to work with this, and just plain, I think I'm using actually the extended double crochet stitch, and you can look that up on Google if you'd like. I use that in my sunlit tee, and it does make the stitches come together a little bit. So that's what I'm using for this particular experiment in a summer top, using this size 3 yarn, but it's not going to be real boxy like the sunlit tee. Back to my questions. Sorry about that. Do you prefer a tapered hook, a boy, or an inline Susan Bates? I prefer the boy. Here they are together. I got these two out because I wanted to show you the difference in the two, and I may have already done this, I can't remember, but see how flat this hook is right here? It's flat across the front, and when you pull it through your loop, it doesn't catch. This one takes a little more skill to use, and this one is a little bit sharper at the bottom. See that? Let me turn it. There you can see it. Very sharp at the bottom, kind of like a tooth almost. And this is turned to the side quite a bit flatter. If you can see that. I know you can see that now. Look at the difference in the two. The flat crochet hooks are Susan Bates, and she's kind of famous for that. And a lot of people like those, and I used to too. I might go back to it sometime if Clover was making a hook like that. But I need an ergonomic hook, and Susan Bates, as far as I know, they don't put out an ergonomic hook, but I could be wrong about that. How do you grip your hook? Oh, I always grip my hook like a knife. I used to grip it like this with a pencil, like a pencil, and I'll tell you that will ruin your wrists if you're doing this all the time. I mean, I made an entire baby Afghan like that with a small hook, and I suffered a couple of months with that. My wrist hurt for 2 months after that because I had used this grip because I hadn't really used the knife grip yet. I had just started using it maybe once or twice, and it was kind of odd feeling. So I went back to my old way of doing things, and I realized that that is not for my older arms. I really need to use a knife grip because when you're moving it, you can actually move it in this direction, and with that movement, you don't twist your wrist back and forth. You know, when you're using this grip, you're going to do this with your wrist. I don't know, that's kind of exaggerated, but a knife grip is so much more efficient, so much easier on your arm. You can crochet a lot longer when you're using a knife grip. So that's the one that I prefer. Number 5 says, does the style of hook dictate how you crochet? Not for me. I only use one kind. So if you're using more than one kind, yes, I would say that if you're using this hook compared to this hook, yes, you would be crocheting a little bit differently, and it would take you a little bit longer to pick it up, whichever one you choose. But I don't think it would bother me because I don't use the Susan Bates anymore. I only use the tapered hook, so that's not really an issue for me. Do you prefer ergonomic hooks or regular hooks? Of course, ergonomic. Regular hooks, you have to grip them harder because there's no... well, Clover has a soft handle on it. This does not have a soft handle. And I find myself, because it's slick, I still have to grip it a little bit harder to use it. Now, you can certainly, if it doesn't bother you, it's not a big deal. But for me, I prefer an ergonomic hook. What are your thoughts on lighted hooks? Lighted hooks I've never used before. I have some. I can't put my hand on them right now. I looked for them this morning. And since I've reorganized my craft room and my studio, they're gone. I know I didn't give them away, so they're around here somewhere, but I have never used a lighted hook. I've thought about it, and then I've decided to just turn the light on. I have a really nice light over my chair that I sit in, and also at my desk where I work, so I don't really need lighted hooks. Have you ever used a hook with interchangeable heads? No. Do you like projects that require small stainless steel hooks or larger hooks? I think a stainless steel hook is like this. This is what I think of when somebody says you need a stainless steel hook. These are, of course, Susan Bates hooks, but it doesn't matter because the hook ends are so tiny. Let me show you this. This is the largest one that I have. And these are steel crochet hooks. This is a 2.55 millimeter. Now look at this. Let me get it over here. Can you see how small that is? I'm not doing that. I bought these for a reason, and I think I bought them. I was working with some thread, and I enjoyed making bracelets, but I only made a handful, and then I was just over it. I don't like these, but I used to use these to make doilies, but they were a little bit larger than this. I think a 00 was the largest one I was using. When I was working with my mom, we were making doilies and tiny things out of thread, and she encouraged me to do that, and it's a good thing that she did because I learned to read a crochet pattern. Some of them were very obscure, but I did learn to read them, and that's why I don't write them that way anymore. I don't write them that way because it's just too much effort to try to figure out what somebody means with all the abbreviations. So I try not to put too many abbreviations in my patterns. I like to write out what I'm talking about, and that way nobody has a question about what I'm trying to say. The last question reads, if you were only allowed to use 2 hooks for the rest of your life, what size and brand would they be? Well, they'd be clover hooks. And there would probably be an H and a J. You can use this for pretty much every small yarn you'd ever want to pick up. And the J you can use with fairly large yarn. You can use that up to a bulky weight yarn, and you can still use a J hook. So these are the 2 hooks that I would prefer. If those are the only 2 I could have, I would pick the J and the H hook. Well, let me tell you the millimeters on there. This is a 5.0 and this is a 6.0 millimeter. So those are the 2 that I would pick. In addition to answering the questions, I would like to show you 3 other crochet hooks that I have. These are furl hooks, and if you remember my crochet hook review, and if you click on that, you'll see it. This is the K hook by Furls. Furls is marketed as a, let me get that up there. Furls is marketed as a luxury crochet hook. And I did try this hook. I did not like it. I mean, it's not a clover, but that's not the only reason. This is a different shape altogether than what I'm used to. There's no thumb press on here, so you do roll the hook quite a bit between these 2 fingers. You know, you have to roll the hook head back and forth just a little bit to get your hook through the stitches. You have to move something, either your fingers or your wrist or something. And I didn't really like it because I didn't have as much control over the hook. See, it's slick. To me, that's not really a good fit for me. It might be for someone else. Someone else may love Furls hooks, and I think that's great. But I'll tell you how much this costs. Now, a clover hook costs about $8. That's an average price. Now, it's not always that much. And if you go to Joann, you can get them for half price, or Michael's or whatever. But see how it's shaped? It's the same all the way around. It's the same all the way around. This is a Furls Streamline Swirl Cream Crochet Hook, 7-inch, 6.5 millimeter K. And there it is. It's actually written right on the crochet hook. It's not just a sticker, but it is imprinted on there. And that costs $36.25 plus shipping. So I felt like that was a whole lot of money, but I wanted to buy some furl hooks and be able to review them. So I still have this one. I gave away a couple of furl hooks long ago in a giveaway because I had too many. I had bought 5 furl crochet hooks and I didn't need 5. I needed 3 maybe. So that is the size K hook. And then I also bought an H hook, which is this one. And this is a beautiful hook. It's just gorgeous, but it's so heavy. It is too heavy in my hand. I don't enjoy working with it. And this one was $36.25 as well, so this was kind of pricey. But again, this is a beautiful handle on here. If you just like to display your hooks, that is an awesome hook to have around. I actually keep it in the box because it takes up too much room in my hook cup. And then I also bought the J hook, which is the blue. Oops, so heavy, I almost dropped it. This is the J hook, quite gorgeous. Love it, but I don't love to crochet with it. There's kind of a rough edge here between the handle and the barrel of the hook, and there's nowhere to really, there's nowhere flat to put your fingers, so you're still rolling the hook. And to me, that would affect the way that I crochet, which is something that I think Debbie, the Canadian crocheter, was saying. If you pick a different crochet hook, does that affect your crocheting? Yes, it does. And this is a good example of that. If I picked this up and was trying to use it, I'd have to use a whole new set of muscles to make this work. And I really just don't want to fool with that anymore. It's a beautiful hook. They look like luxury hooks, but to me, they are harder to work with than the clover hooks. The least expensive one was $19. I still have 3 and they're still sitting here. Now this is where I keep my crochet hooks. Everybody was showing where they keep their crochet hooks. Well, first of all, I keep most of them in this box. You see that box right there? It has a lot of crochet hooks in it, and I also had a lot of them out here on the counter, so these were all in there as well. These are very, very large. These are the PQ hooks. This is actually a Q hook, and I wrote the letter on the bottom of it, but I have used this to make blankets for my friends at Christmas time. I did use this one. I lost it and then I had to go buy another one, so I have two just alike that I really don't need. But if I need one, they're here in my box. And then this large one I use to start my show with every time I make a video. But mostly where I keep my crochet hooks is in this cup. This cup sits on my desk and it has all my crochet clover hooks in here, and there are two odd ones. I noticed that this morning, so I'm going to show you those. This is the NH Hook 5.0, and I believe this may be a clover, but I don't think so. I think it's a tulip, but it's not labeled. I don't know why. Somebody else may know what this is. I don't know what that is, but it made its way into my cup, and I think I'm just going to put it away because I never use it. This is a J 6.0 tulip hook, and if I was in a pinch, I would pick this one up. I don't like it that much, but it does have a place for your thumb. It is ergonomic, it's soft to hold, and it's got a very slick barrel on it. So a tulip hook would be my second choice. And I do keep one of these in my cup. So in my cup are all these clover hooks and one tulip hook in there. But this is where I keep them all. They are at my fingertips. I can grab one and say I need an H for that, and I can find the H in there. I've got every size that clover makes, all the way down to, I think there's a B in here as well, but here's a C. This is a 2.75 hook, and this is T90. Look how tiny that is. Very small. And another thing I wanted to show you is my Persian tiles quilt that I'm making. No, it's not a quilt. My Persian tiles throw that I'm making. I'm using two different hooks on that, and they're both clover. This is an E hook, and it is a 3.5 millimeter hook. That is the E hook, and I'm also using a G hook. This is, of course, my mom's favorite size crochet hook. You've heard me talk about her, and everything she made was with a G hook. I think she had one hook in her cup on her side table by the chair, and it had a G hook in it. And I think it had a pair of scissors and stuff like that. She had a G hook in there, and she only had one. She only had one, and she used it to make every single thing she made. I don't know how she got away with that, but I'm using these two hooks to make the Persian tiles throw, and the little stitches are teeny tiny on here. Look how small those are. They're very, very small. But you know, I have enjoyed using it because mostly I select a J or an H or an I or something like that hook. But I have really enjoyed working with these small hooks. I guess because it's a little more intricate. You're not, using these big motions with your hands. You're just using your fingertips to crochet, and I have really enjoyed that. Well, so ends my 10 crochet hook questions video. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you will watch my review because that is more detailed than what I did here. But I just wanted you to know that I will be back tomorrow with a regular video, and I have some others to make too as well for my other crafts. So I will see you next time. And let me grab my crochet hook, my PQ clover hook, and say join me next time to find out what's on the hook.